just what exactly is it that makes a baseball game interesting? People often complain to me about how boring the sport is, but that opinion often lacks a true understanding of how the game works. Having a deeper understanding of the sport itself unlocks a richer enjoyment of the game. When you truly appreciate the nuances of each pitch, the value of a low-scoring game becomes very high. The fewer runs are scored, the more weight is added to each pitch as the game moves on. Similar to association football, the game's intensity is built around the opportunity to score rather than the scoring itself. But how do pitchers and defenses work to prevent the opposing team from scoring? What types of pitches do pitchers throw? What is a pickoff? What's a double play? A fielder's choice? Welcome back to the Bad Baseball Fan for part 3 of What is Baseball? Let's break down pitching and fielding. Let's start off with pitching. Starting with their workspace, the pitcher's mound lies nearly in the center of the infield diamond. The mound is 18 feet in diameter and is 10 inches high. At the top of the mound is a leveled out area called the table. Towards the front of the table is what is called the rubber. The rubber is 6 inches deep and 24 inches wide. This is where the pitcher delivers the pitch from. The front of the rubber to the back of home plate measures 60 feet 6 inches. This pitching distance was established in 1893 and has remained to this day. This measurement also applies to the distance between the rubber and both first and third base. The distance from the rubber to second base is a little different though, measuring at 67 feet. Now that we have an idea of what the pitcher's mound is like, let me explain how a pitch happens. There are two ways for a pitcher to pitch the baseball. They are the windup and the set positions. Generally speaking, a pitcher will pitch from the windup with no runners on base, and pitches from the set position when there are runners on base. This is because pitching from the windup takes significantly longer than pitching from the set. Long pitch deliveries with runners on base would almost always lead to easy stolen bases. Anyways, pitching from the windup or from set both begin with the pitcher engaging the rubber. From the windup, engaging the rubber is when the pitcher establishes contact with the rubber with their pivot foot, which is the same side as their throwing arm, either on top of the rubber or in front of it, with their non-pivot foot free from regulation. From the point of engaging the rubber, this pivot foot must remain in contact with the rubber until the pitch leaves the hand, or the pitcher intentionally steps off the rubber and disengages. Before a pitcher reaches their set position, they first engage the rubber in a position known as the stretch. The pitcher enters the stretch position to receive a signal from the catcher to choose a pitch, before they come to the set position and either pitch, attempt to pick off a runner, or disengage from the rubber. The engagement of the rubber from the stretch and set positions is the same as from the windup, except for that the free foot must be placed in front of the rubber from set. Once a pitcher receives a sign from the catcher, he must come from the stretch position to the set position before pitching. The set position, generally speaking, entails the pitcher bringing their feet closer together, their hands coming together in front of them, and their body coming to a stopping point. From this point, the pitcher chooses to either pitch or disengage from the rubber. If a pitcher breaks any of the rules that carefully govern their actions on the mound, the umpire can charge them with a balk. Balks are beyond the purview of this video, but I have a short on them that I'll link right here. Pitchers often have several reasons that may cause them to disengage from the rubber, but the most common is an attempt at gamesmanship with the runner called a pickoff move. When a pitcher is receiving the signs from the catcher, base runners tend to take a lead off from their bases. This is usually several steps away from the base, far enough to get a head start to the next bag, but close enough to get back safely in case the pitcher disengages and attempts to throw the runner out. For the purposes of simplicity, we will only discuss pickoff moves to first here, as they are by a large margin the most common. When a right-handed pitcher has a runner on first, there is only one effective way to attempt a pickoff move, and it essentially requires a shuffle or jump of the feet and a rapid, fluid move towards first base in which the pitcher delivers the ball to the first baseman in an attempt to tag the runner out. We will discuss what tagging out means here shortly. For the left-handed pitchers, whose front sides face first base from the stretch, there are two methods of pickoff. One is a snap throw, where the pitcher, from set, rapidly steps his planted foot behind and off of the rubber and snaps the ball to first. The other is essentially when the pitcher lifts his leg, feigning a pitch, and instead pushes his momentum towards first rather than towards home and attempts a pickoff. It should be noted that catchers are also free to attempt pickoff throws following a pitch if they notice a runner being a little too slow getting back to the bag. Well, how about when a pitcher does throw a pitch? What do those look like? There are three fundamental types of pitches: fastballs, breaking pitches, and off-speed pitches. Fastballs are every pitcher's first true love. They are straightforward pitches that rely on their velocity to overwhelm the batter with little movement. There are a few different types of fastballs that vary in velocity and movement, shown with pitch grips here. They are a 4-seam fastball, a 2-seam fastball, cutter, and the split finger fastball. In this graphic from sportsfanfocus.com, we can see the types of movement each fastball provides. 4-seamers have very little movement at all and are focused on reaching peak velocity. 2-seamers sacrifice a slight amount of velocity and add quite a bit of movement down and towards the arm side of the pitcher. For reference, the term arm side refers to the pitcher's throwing arm side. Cutters, like 2-seam fastballs, sacrifice a slight amount of velocity and add horizontal movement away from the arm side. Split finger fastballs, also called splitters, sacrifice some velocity to add a diving motion closer to the plate. Breaking balls are exactly what they sound like: pitches that break. The four primary breaking balls, historically, are a curveball, slider, slurve, and screwball. The curveball is thrown with forward spin that causes dramatic downward break. The slider is generated with horizontal spin that creates tight horizontal break combined with a higher velocity. The slurve, just like its name, is a hybrid of the curveball and slider and offers a mix of a horizontal and vertical break. And finally, the screwball. The screwball is a reverse curveball and, unfortunately, has virtually gone extinct. The pitcher generates an outside-in topspin that causes the pitch to have sharp downward arm side break. Off-speed pitches are a pitcher's best friend. The four primary off-speed pitches are a changeup, circle changeup, forkball, and the infamous knuckleball. These pitches play off fastballs by utilizing a slower velocity and throwing off the timing of the batter. Looking at the break graphic, we see that the regular changeup has a similar trajectory as a regular fastball, except a good changeup tends to have some drop off towards the plate. The circle changeup tends to bottom out and tail towards the arm side of the pitcher. The forkball functions as a changeup to the splitter, offering a significant bottoming out towards the plate. And the knuckleball just has a mind of its own. The goal of a knuckleball is to generate as little spin on the pitch as possible, and this creates random, unpredictable pitch breaks. Now that we've touched on the basics of pitching and we understand the pitcher-batter dynamic a little better, let's discuss fielding. There are 9 total defensive players, including the pitcher. For the purposes of scoring, each defensive position is assigned a number. In order, the pitcher is 1, catcher is 2, first base is 3, second base is 4, third base is 5, shortstop is 6, left field is 7, center field is 8, and right field is 9. The whole point of the defense is to get batters and base runners out, and there are 3 functional ways for fielders to do this: force outs, tag outs, and catching the ball in the air. Force outs generally occur when a batter becomes a runner and gets put out because an opponent with the ball reaches first base before the batter can get there. Force outs are also possible when a runner is forced to vacate their current base and proceed to the next. This occurs when there are no open bases behind a runner and the ball is put in play by the batter on the ground. So, hypothetically, let's say that there's a base runner on first, and the batter hits a ground ball to third base. The runner on first is obligated to advance to second because the batter must attempt to reach first base, and 2 runners cannot occupy a base at the same time. Because the base runner is obligated to advance, they must get to the base before the ball does. The runner is essentially forced to advance and thus, when thrown out, are forced out. Tagouts are a little simpler and can be applied to any base runner in any situation. Essentially, if a fielder with possession of the ball tags a base runner with the ball in hand, the base runner is out. The fielder must tag the runner with the hand that currently holds the ball, whether that be their bare hand or securing the ball and applying the tag with their glove. In situations where a base runner has an open base behind them, tagouts are necessary. Hypothetically, a batter hits a ball down the foul line and into the outfield, looking like they'll be able to stretch a single into a double. The outfielder gets to the ball quickly and fires it into second base, where the ball gets there before the runner. Given the runner ran through first base and proceeded to second, first is open behind him. Thus, the fielders are compelled to tag the runner with the ball rather than tagging the base. Like force outs, if the runner gets to the base before being tagged, they are safe. Catching the ball in the air is rather self-explanatory. If a fielder manages to securely catch a batted ball before it hits the ground, the batter is called out. It should be noted that in the case of a caught ball, any base runners are obligated to return to their starting base or they can be forced out. Let's say a batter hits a low line drive into the outfield and the outfielder makes a diving catch on it. The runner at second, who thought the ball was going to drop, takes off towards third base, and the outfielder who ends up catching the ball throws it into second base before the runner returns to create a force out. With those in mind, one might ask, is it possible to combine these and make multiple outs on one play? Yes, with almost limitless possibilities. Terminology in these regards goes as follows. 2 outs on one play is called a double play, and 3 is called a triple play. Double plays are fairly common, while triple plays are extremely rare. The most common double plays are force plays, subsequently at second base and then first base. Double plays can occur anytime there is at least one runner on base and less than 2 outs in the inning. Triple plays can only occur with at least 2 runners on base and no outs having been recorded. This brings to mind curious situations called fielder's choice. I also happen to make a short on that linked up here, so check that out for further information. With the fundamentals of defense secured, let's turn to the types of equipment they use to assist them in fielding. Equipment in the field is rather simple. We covered gloves in part 1, but need to break them down a little further here. Fielders also tend to use accessories such as armbands, eye black, or sunglasses. Catchers themselves have very specific gear to keep them safe behind the plate. Let's start with catchers' equipment. Catchers have special mitts and wear a full assortment of pads that keep them safe behind the plate from foul balls, pitches, etc. While doing his job, a catcher wears a helmet, chest protector, leg guards, and sometimes knee savers. There are 2 types of catcher's helmets: a traditional mask worn with a batting helmet and hockey style. The chest protector covers the entire front of the midsection of the catcher as well as their shoulders. The leg guards cover the shins from above the knee and to the end of the foot. Knee savers are optional pads that can secure to the bottom of the calves. They allow a cushion for the catcher to rest on while in the squatted position, taking pressure off of the knees. Per Catching101.com, 47% of Major League catchers use knee savers. The catcher's mitt is referred to as such because it lacks individual fingers, unlike a typical baseball glove. The catcher's mitt has a hinged, claw-like shape and is significantly padded to help secure high-velocity pitches. The only other position that uses a mitt is first base. The first base mitt is less padded than a catcher's mitt, but is significantly longer. This long, wide mitt helps first basemen scoop poor throws out of the dirt and provides a large target for infielders to throw to. Infield gloves tend to have shorter fingers and shallower pockets in order to allow infielders to transition the ball quickly from their glove to their throwing hand. And outfield gloves tend to have longer fingers and deeper, more hinged pockets to allow more secure catching of fly balls. Other fielding accessories are rather straightforward. The eye black and sunglasses help keep the sun out of a player's eye. The armbands prevent sweat from sliding down the hands, and they kind of look cool too. I believe we've reached the end of our segment on pitching and fielding. Now that we are 3 parts in, hopefully we've been able to establish a solid fundamental understanding of the sport together. Like I mentioned before, baseball is quite complex, so if you have any questions or noticed anything I missed, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Remember, if you like baseball, especially if you're new to it, like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you for part 4.